Hey Sweetwater, what's going on? My name is OP and I'm the Artist Relations Manager for Serato. And today I'm here to show you Serato Studio 2.0 with stems. Stems meaning audio separation. So you can take a track or a song from your library, throw it into Serato, and you can separate it by its parts, having the vocal, the melody, the bass, or the drums to be able to use for sampling purposes, remixing purposes, and other things. So let's jump into it. I'm gonna show you how you can make this work. So for today's example, what I'm gonna do is this. My good friend and my man who works for me at Serato, Cut Corners, made a beautiful song called Caught Up featuring Kendra Diaz. I'm gonna take that song, put it into Serato Studio with the stems feature and separate it. So I just have the acapella for the song. I'm just using an MP3. So I'm gonna separate just the acapella, and then I'm gonna take the drums from the song and then resample them, chop them up, and then reprogram them to create a new track, a remix of their song. So let's jump into it. So here is the track, and I'm gonna load it into Serato Studio. It's a beautiful sounding track. I'm gonna click and drag it over here to the song view and drop it in, right? And so what happens automatically is that it gives me the key of the song, which is at A minor, and it also gives me the BPM, which is 96 BPM, right? And it also sets the grid for me, right? So as I go through the song, I can see that all the beats are kind of lining up perfectly to the grid. So up top here above where the waveform is at is where you have the stem audio separation. And you have the opportunity to separate by the vocal, the melody, the bass, and the drums. And for this example, only thing I want to do is just separate this by the vocal. So I'm going to go here to the melody and I'm going to turn it off. And I'm going to go to the bass and turn that off as well. And then finally to the drums and turn it off. And as you see, as I separate it, now I just have the acapella. And let's listen to that just to see how it sounds. So I'm going to play it from around here or so.
Had a lot to say about me. Didn't think I'd leave so soon, baby.
That's incredibly clean, right? And pretty much instant with me just pressing the button, a couple of seconds, and there it is for me to work with. And just to show you the difference between the two of those, I'm gonna bring back in the other parts so you can hear it with the parts and then without it.
Had a lot to say about me. Didn't think I'd leave so soon, baby. I'm not gonna waste your time, cause I got enough on my plate.
So literally just that instant, being able to take those parts out and just have the acapella, which is great. And because this is gridded already, it's gonna stay in time for the acapella. So now it's time to go and take the same track and now just get the drums and resample those to make those work. I'm gonna leave the acapella here in the audio track, and I'm gonna go back to the scenes over here. And in the scene section, I'm gonna take that same track, I'm gonna load it up into a sample deck. It's gonna give me the same thing. But in this instance, I just want the drums. So I'm gonna take out the vocal, the melody, the bass, and just have the drums. And here we go, here go the drums. I'm gonna jump a little bit further. Good. And this is the section I wanna pull from for the most part. So these are the drums here. So I like this little snare here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all these kind of selected cue points that it gave me already. I'm gonna select them all and delete them so I can make my own. So for this first one here, I'm gonna go here and let's see. There we go. So that's the snare, or kind of snare clap. And I'm gonna create a region here so I can just have it play for a certain amount. I like that there. And I'm gonna go to this kick here and same thing. It's got a nice little kind of symbol on the back of it. So I'm gonna take that and then kind of open that up a bit. That's good. And I wanna get to just a kick without having any other kind of symbol on top of it, which is right here. So I'm gonna make another one here. Nice solid kick. I'm gonna kind of create a region for that as well. Let's go a little bit further. And right here, there's a little hi-hat right here. And I want that. I'm gonna take that and create a region as well. Okay, great. And lastly, what I wanna do is, I think somewhere back here, there were some snaps that were happening. So let's listen to it right there. So I'm gonna take that little snap and kind of make a little region for that right there. Okay, great. Now, in order for me to kind of program these drums the way I want to put this into poly mode. And what poly mode is going to do is going to allow me to be able to play multiple sounds at the same time instead of playing them one by one. Mono is going to mean just playing one sound, so I just play the kick. And if I try to play the snare, it's going to cut off the kick to play the snare, right? Whereas if I have it in poly, I can play the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, multiple sounds at the same time. And I'm also going to put it into this mode here for trigger, which means that it's going to play all the way through instead of playing for as long as I hold down on the pad or on the key, right? So with that being said, I can kind of shape some of these sounds a bit. So I like that snare there. I'm gonna go to the release here. Just kind of tighten it up a little bit. Same thing with this right there. The kick's pretty good, but I like that right there. And a little bit of that air on the back there I'm going to take off with the release. Okay, cool. So I have my drums. And now I want to kind of program some drums. So before I do that, I'm going to move some of the drums around. I want to have that kick here to go first. So I have the kick here. Let's take this little snare clap and put it here. Let's take this hi-hat and put it here. I'll leave this here, and I will also leave this here. Okay, great. So now that I have it, let's kind of program something really quickly. Okay, got that there. I'm gonna throw some hi-hats in as well. Let's record that. And I might add some snaps in too. This sounds good, but let's add some flavor to this by swinging some things and moving some notes around. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here to the hi-hats and select these. And I'm gonna ×2 the grid. And I'm just gonna slightly move the hi-hats just a little bit off the grid. So it gives a little bit of little flavor right there. And I'm also gonna take the snares and I think I might slightly move them back and see how that sounds. It's a little bit further forward. There we go. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna come to the swing here, just swing the whole thing, probably around like 25% or so. Let's see how that sounds. And for these hi-hats, what I'm gonna do is taking off this selector tool here, I'm gonna take my mouse over some of the notes and hold down on command to adjust the velocity. So that way they all don't hit exactly at full velocity. Okay, I like that. Sounds pretty good. So again, just by taking the drums from his track, putting it into a sample deck, and using the stem separation just to get the drums, I've been able to now resample the drums and now be able to create a whole new program for the drums that wasn't there before. There's actually one more part in the drums I want to grab actually. I think it's somewhere in the front here. I'm going to find it. Let's play this really quickly so I can hear it. There we go, those little hi-hats, right? This little hi-hat kind of triplet thing here going on, or kind of trill thing right there. So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna make a cue point here. Again, make a region, and perfect, that's what I want. So what I'm gonna do here is go in the scene section, and I'm going to make another bar. Right now I'm in bar 1 of the scene, and scenes are sections of your songs, like your intro, your verse, your chorus, your breakdowns and things of that nature. And you can have multiple scenes for your track that you can arrange, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. So I'm going to go here to this plus sign and make this 2 bars instead of 1. And at the end of the second bar, I'm going to add in, just by drawing in the note, this right here. So let's see what this sounds like. I'm going to take this note out. Let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, sounds pretty good. I'm going to take the velocity and just bring it down just a little bit around there. Again, by holding down Command and then dragging on the note. Okay, cool. So just to see how this is going to sound with the acapella in terms of the beat that I've added on, I'm going to go over here to the song view, take the intro, duplicate it a number of times, and I'm going to play it from here to see what it sounds like.
Had a lot to say about me. Didn't think I'd leave so soon, baby. I'm not gonna waste your time, cause I got enough on my daily.
All right, so it sounded pretty good. So the power of Serato Studio is that it has pitch and time built in, which is an industry standard time stretching algorithm. This allows you to take multiple samples that are different BPMs and even different keys, and when you put it inside of Serato Studio, everything will sync by key and also by BPM automatically. So I'm going to take this sample here that's inside of Serato Studio as a royalty-free sample that you can get with packs that you can download from Serato.com, and I'm going to load it here into a sample deck. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for 2 bars to have a loop around. So this is the sound here. And I'm going to take the first 2 bars for that. So let's record that in. Okay, and we play that back. Perfect. Okay, great. So what I want to do is add on an effect here. I'm going to add on a sidechain effect. So I'm going to go to the effects here, turn it on, and under this sequence here, I'm going to go here to the effects. I'm going to go down to the sidechain and do the hard sidechain. And this here is automatically routed to the drum kit that I have set up for the studio drums. Now, this is not the sample drums that I did, but the studio drums. I'm going to have it go to the kick. I'm going to turn this up. And what I'm going to do is come up here to the studio drums, and I'm going to right click inside of the cell and do fill in, and then do by fourths. It's automatically going to give me kicks landing on every beat, right? And what I want to do is mute this by pressing this button right here. And what's going to happen is that every time those kicks hit, it's going to then start ducking on the sample, doing the side chain. So let's listen to this and see how it sounds with the snares and kicks that I have that are sampled, plus then the sample here. Okay, great. And you can see that happening right there on the screen with that ducking happening every time that it hits. Okay, great. So I'm going to now add on another sample. And I think I want to add on this little shaker thing here. Let's listen to it. Okay, so I'm going to take that and load it up as well. And I don't want to have it play the whole time. I just want it to play from about here. So I'm going to take this here and move it over and create a region like this. So this should sound like that. I'm going to record that in. Okay, great. And I'm going to add on another sample as well. So I'm going to go to this one here. Okay, I'm going to take that and load it into a sample deck. And this is actually in D minor while the session's in A minor. So it's going to transpose it to make it fit. And let's record that in as well. Okay, and I'm going to take out some of the lows here on this. I just want it to be kind of some texture background. Maybe a little filter. Okay, I like this. This is sounding pretty good. And what I might also do too is add on this little kind of percussion loop here. So I'm going to take this and load it in again as a sample deck. I'm going to chop it up and play it a little bit different. So let's record that in as well. Okay, great. So we got a few things going on here. So what I want to do is this. I want to go to the song view and just listen to what this sounds like on top of everything. And what I might do is make a few scenes where I take some things out, maybe add some things in, just to create some variety for the remix. Let's do it from here. Sounded pretty good, and you see I'm moving pretty quickly too, right? That's the power of Serato Studios, that you can take all these samples, throw them in, they start working, plus with the stems to separate drums, acapellas, other instrumentation, you can really flip a song really quickly. So let's go back here to the scenes here, and I'm going to take this scene here and I'm going to copy it over a couple times, right? So in this intro, what I want to do is this. I want to have it to where it's just going to be the sample and the drums. I might take out the shakers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and clear out the notes. And why I want to clear out the notes is that if I delete the actual shaker, it's going to delete it across all the scenes. But if I just clear out the notes in that scene, they will still be the notes in the other scene. So here, again, taking out the shaker. Here, this sample here that we added into some texture, I'm going to clear those notes out as well. I'll bring those back in later. And this little kind of steel drum, I'm going to clear out, and we'll have that coming later. So this is what this should sound like. And actually, you know what? I might actually take out the snares in this one too. So I'm just going to go through and just clear out just the snares. There we go. Okay, great. So when I get to scene 2, I want it to play with the snares. So I'm going to leave the snares in. As you see, those notes are there. They didn't clear out. I'm going to leave the sample that's there originally. I'm going to add in the shakers, leaving those there with those notes. I'm going to come here to this poetry in motion sample, and I'm going to clear that out. I don't want that there just yet. And the steel drums I'm going to take out as well. So let's listen to this. Okay, great. And here on this one, I'm going to leave the drums. I'll leave the sample. I'm going to leave the shakers. I'm going to also leave in this here with the poetry in motion, but I'm going to take out the steel drums. And this is what this sounds like. Okay, great. And this one has pretty much everything inside of it. I'm going to duplicate this one more time, so that way we can add some stuff into this. So I'm going to go to the Instruments tab over here, and then go grab this 808 head explosion bass and load it in. And so it has playing key here, and playing key will allow you to take the sound that you're working with and play it in key to your session on your keyboard. So we got a nice little bass line. Let's record that in. And for this last section, I'm going to add on another sample for a breakdown. So I'm going to come over here back to my samples, and under here I have a little xylophone here that I always love to use. And I'm going to load that into a sample deck. I'm going to make this 4 bars instead of 2 bars. You'll notice that again, It will change both the BPM and the key to make it sync up because of pitch and time built into Serato Studio. So now this plays as such. And I'm just going to draw in some notes here real quick to make it quick. So let's listen to how this sounds. And I'm going to add on an echo effect just to kind of have that kind of stretch out a little bit. And what I might do is also take out a couple elements here to kind of create a nice little breakdown. So I'm going to come up here and take out this poetry in motion, clear this out. All right, and now we have this breakdown. Okay, great. Let's now sequence this all together. So down in the song view, I'm going to take these parts here and start bringing them down. I'm not going to complete the whole song, but I'm just giving you the idea of what you can do here. So let's look at this and see what happens. And let me bring this up a little bit so you can see a bit more of the view.
Didn't think I'd leave so soon, baby. I'm not gonna waste your time, cause I got enough on mine daily. Why did you think that I was gonna stick around to see what's up? I realized my mistakes and I move on. Look at me kinda tired of, tired of, tired of, tired of, tired of. Yeah. Thing is, you know that I can get up in it. If I wanted to, I'd let you in it. But I changed, made myself some other plan. Thing is, you know that I can get up in it. If I wanted to, I'd keep you on my line.
So you can see pretty quickly I've been able to pretty much remix this track. I'm going to do one more thing here really quickly. I'm going to go back to my library. I'm going to go back to my folder and take the same exact song and bring it in. And remember, this is what it sounds like originally, and now what we have with the remix is something completely different. I'm going to bring this in and put it into another audio track. And I'm again going to go separate it just for the vocals. So I have the acapella here, and I have the acapella here. But on this one, what I want to do is I want to come here, I want to key shift this down to here. So when I play these together, it's going to sound like this. Okay, and I don't want to have that play through the whole time. I just want to have it in certain parts. So here, if I right click here and do split to new clip, I can separate those parts and I can delete this here. And I want it just to play in certain parts. So I'm just going to go through and kind of separate certain parts here. So it kind of comes in and out. All right, so let's hear what this sounds like. Now taking that vocal, chopping it up, bringing it down in key on top of the vocal we already had. Remember that this is separated by the stems. Here we go.
I'm not gonna waste your time, cause I got enough on mine daily. Why did you think that I was gonna stick around to see what's up? I realized my mistakes and I move on. Look at me kinda tired of, tired of, tired of, tired of.
Sounds pretty good. So let's finish this off by mastering it. So I'm going to go down here to the master section, click on it, and I have 3 slots for effects here. You can either use the Serato effects that are here, EQs, compressors, limiters, or any ones that you want to switch out here, or you can go to your library and go to your plugins and go to your effects and choose pretty much any VST or audio units plugin that you want to use. So for this example, what I want to do is I think I want to add on this OTT effect here. So I'm going to take this and load it in, and you can see that the effect pops up, right? And let's play this to kind of hear what it sounds like. So obviously this is like really pushing really hard. So what I want to do is I want to bring some of this depth back a bit here. And what's really cool about using effects, whether it be the Serato effects or VST or audio units effects, is that the waveforms that you're seeing are doing two things. One is dynamically showing you what's happening throughout the song. So as I start to make adjustments to depth and to mounts and so on and so forth, you'll see the waveform change dynamically. So you can both hear what's happening and also visually see what's happening as well. If it's too much, you can visibly see what's happening, but then also hearing it as well. Also what's happening is that you're seeing the colored waveforms of what's exactly happening in the song by frequency. So the darker colors are more for like your lows, your kind of warmer colors are for like your mids, things that are kind of like in the piano and like synth range and even vocals. And the brighter colors are more for your highs, things like hi-hats and cymbals and things of that nature. So you can see all that happening right on the screen as it's going along. And this is also great too, because you don't have to wait until you get into another program to see what the waveform looks like. You can see it happening live right here in front of you. So let's go ahead and play this and listen to how it sounds.
Didn't think of you so soon, baby. I'm not gonna waste your time, 'cause I got enough on mine daily. Why did you think that I was gonna stick around to see what's up? I realized my mistakes and I move on. Look at me caught up.
All right, sounding pretty good. So I want to wrap this up. I want to export this file so that way I can play it in my DJ sets or pass it on to friends or put it on SoundCloud for people to be able to listen to. So I'm going to go here to export and go to export audio file. And here under the export master, I can export either as a WAV file or as an MP3 320. Or if I want to share this as stems for the whole session that I've made for other people to be able to use in their studio, whether it be working in Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton or so on and so forth, I can do so by giving them the stems, and I can export those either as WAV files or as MP3s, right? But in this instance, I'm just going to do the WAV file. So I'm going to come here and with the WAV file, export it out, and I can name it, say Cut Corners, new remix, and I can export it out. So that was showing you how you can use stems inside of Serato Studio 2.0. It's absolutely amazing. Remember, we took a song from my man Cut Corners, we took it and just stripped down the acapella, and then took the drums from the track, resampled them, chopped them up, and then reprogrammed them to make it a whole different vibe, and then added on a bunch of different samples on top, and added some bass lines and things of that nature, and then kind of arranged it to make a whole new remix really quickly using Serato Studio 2.0. The stems are clean, efficient, and easy to use, and you want to use this as a part of your production. So make sure that you call your Sweetwater sales engineer and ask them about Serato Studio 2.0 and how you can add this to your production workflow. My name is OP, Artist Relations Manager for Serato, and I'll see you next time. Peace.